Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams, the host of the Membership Masters podcast. I'm a self-employed, location-independent online entrepreneur, and I've built multiple million-dollar memberships. I've helped thousands of people just like you start, build, and grow online businesses of their own. I started this podcast to help you take your online dream to the next level by interviewing some of the most successful online entrepreneurs in the world, experts in marketing, branding, sales, and retention. Today's show is going to be a great one. I've got one of my best friends in the entire world on the program today. He's an incredible entrepreneur and a certified rock star. My guest today is Chris Greenwood, a.k.a. award-winning recording artist, Manafest. On today's show, you're going to learn how Chris achieved his dream of becoming a successful recording artist, but how online business, entrepreneurship, and of course, memberships gave him true freedom and control over his life. You're going to learn how he got out of mountains of debt by making 2 simple changes in his budget. Plus, Chris is going to detail how he built 7 passive income streams that give his family the freedom to pursue their dreams today. I love Chris Greenwood like a brother, and I am so excited to introduce him to you today. But before we get started, I've got one question for you. Are you ready to become a membership master today? All right, let's go. Welcome to the Membership Masters podcast, brought to you by membershipmasters.com. This is the podcast where we teach you how to get and keep more members every single month. I've helped thousands of people start, build, and grow memberships, and I interview some of the biggest membership owners anywhere online. My goal is to help you build $1 million membership of your own. Brick by brick, let's do it together. Come on. Chris Greenwood, a.k.a. Manafest, a.k.a. my MC, a.k.a. my brother from another mother up in Canada land. What's up, man?
Yeah, just hanging out in front of my American flag, at least trying to represent.
I'm wearing my American flag on my head, baby.
I know. I'm sorry I don't have a Canadian logo on my
That's what I'll get you. I'll get you that for Christmas.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I'll get you a flag hat. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, right before we started, we were talking about other online businesses. And there was a girl in the Flip Your Life community. I want to say she was either her husband or maybe she had a business partner. I can't remember. But so They had a spa and they started a membership site.
Oh, that's cool.
Helping people open spas. And it went really well. It was a higher ticket thing though.
Yeah.
It was definitely coaching.
Yeah, that's what she's going to do. She's going to do like an ebook bump guide and then a course and then book a coaching call with her because she's done so much consulting and so do that higher ticket. So yeah,
I think with any I was talking to Cliff Ravenscraft yesterday for this podcast, and the coaching as a model is a membership. It's just you got to make the sale, you got to get people in, and you got to retain them, right? So you just have it's a smaller cohort is all it is, right?
Yeah.
Anything with retention on the back of it. But those things where you're like hands-on or there's something like they almost have to be one-on-one, you know?
Yeah,
like you could get some of it done, but not all of it.
I think, getting started, building it, but then, scaling it would be the coaching, I think, something like that,
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll do really, really well. And, she's got results, got testimonials already and got all the pieces. It's just plugging it all in,
I think that the more I hang out with guys like you and other people I know, and even in my own little world, I mean, you know me, I'm memberships for life, ride or die.
Yeah.
But like I just see some now more, you need it all, man.
Yep.
Like you really do. You got to have multiple streams of revenue for multiple kinds of offers. I mean, you don't need it. Like if you just want to go out and make your $100,000 and you're good, but
then when you want to take a break, I know a buddy wants taking a break, and taking weeks off, and he doesn't want to do the high ticket calls, and close people. And guess what? Doesn't have sales coming in. Where my membership, it's gonna have sales coming in no matter what. Now I will say I do have to refill it, but like at the same time, it's just like it's recurring and nobody cancels all at the same time. And you told me to create my first one, and I never thought I now have a second one that we were talking about even earlier this morning.
I know. And I'm going to copy it as best I can. But I'm not telling anybody what it is right now. I'm going to steal it for my own idea because it's a great idea, man.
You're like, that's a good sales page,
that's a
bro.
good
I like
plan.
that.
That got me inspired. Jocelyn walked in. She walked in right after I was asking you about that, and I was having like two conversations talking to another guy who was gonna. What brought that on was another guy I know texted me, and he was like, "Hey, do you think this would work?" And it was about putting your successful. Basically, it was documenting and selling your successful resources for selling. Basically.
Yeah.
And top secret what it is. And but I said I know it would work because I got a buddy doing it. And he was like, "Can I see a sales page?" And I was like, "Let me see your sales page." And then right after I text you, I said I bought a domain name. Yeah. Which I will reveal at a later date. You're gonna have to tune in to the Membership Masters podcast later to find out what the domain name is, because this is a good one too. Did I even tell you this domain name yet? Yeah, I did. I told you.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah, you emailed it to me.
Jocelyn walks in. I go, "I bought a domain," and she goes, "Oh Lord, what have you guys been talking about this morning?"
You buy domains, girls buy clothes, right? Starting another business, another entrepreneur idea.
That's right. Yeah, it's down the road.
This one, what I liked about this one is just lower ticket. It's just, and it's a little bit more passive, and we're kind of being secretive here, but like it's really less amount of work. It doesn't require coaching, and someone who is coaching me kind of basically, it's like selling your sawdust, and it's kind of like you chop the wood and there's all this extra stuff left over, work that you're already doing. Well, why not sell those little bits?
I know.
Wood and stuff like that.
You told me that analogy on Voxer
one. And it's just money. And I read a book about that too, about a guy, Peter J. Daniels, who I've talked about lots. And he was in some business a long time ago, and they would chop something, and they would have all these extra boards left over, and they would just sit there. And he's like, well, I know a company that could use it. And it was some special board or something like that, but it ended up generating hundreds of thousands of dollars to the business. And so just the idea of reselling something that we're already doing to people that can help them, whether that's, templates, things that we're just already creating, and people will buy it.
Yeah, they will. And like the problem, it's weird. It's like this paradox between the one thing. You got to have your one thing. Yeah. We call it the core offer for a reason, right? But do you think that Dunkin' Donuts ain't going to sell those donut holes? I mean, that's where they come from. They're not going to waste all that dough. That's so good, right? Dude. Yeah. So we all have to look for that sawdust and that donut holes. And like, even I'll tell you what, man, the Membership Masters, this podcast came out of sawdust, really. Because I had a bunch of higher level people in the Flip Your Life community who were succeeding at memberships. Yeah. But they were struggling with marketing. And every month I would sit down at probably about a week or two before the month, and I would plan out, like right now I'm planning out November. It's like October 15th when we're recording this. And people kept asking me like, man, I just don't know what to do every day. And then they would say something like, man, I'm so confused what I need to do today. Yep. And man, I feel like I'm just doing random things every day. Yep. And I was like, wait a minute. I literally get a notepad. I write 1 through 30. And that's what I do every month to plan my promotions. What if I just gave them this? Now I could pretty it up and I can generalize it a little more, but like this is
take
my
their
plan.
Stuff out and show them where they can input their stuff and use it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had the idea to sell my like a launch sequence, so like a launch email sequence for when I launch. Well, I'm launching my new book soon, but because I'm in the music space, right? And I'm going to be launching a new song or a new CD or album. Well, there's always a series of emails that I'm going to write, and sometimes I'll pre-write them, which is always the best way to do it, and sometimes I'll do it the day of and then the next day just write them.
7-day launch. I'm going to send out day one's email. Here we go.
Yeah But like it's going to happen, right? And and depending on where I'm at in life, like I don't like to copy them. I like to add some personality and stuff like that, but like that's valuable to someone who's never launched something before. And
the order you put them in is important.
The order and how to take that to social media. How do you apply that to YouTube, a podcast, I guess, if you want. And it's funny, actually, I'm right on my whiteboard. I'm writing all my launch assets out right now because I'm going to freaking forget. And honestly, I need to make that like a book in itself, is like my launch checklist. And I had something like that for songs, but I want it for products, anything. It's like, what are all my assets? Because I'm going to, like, my assets, not including like Dream 100 stuff, but like make sure I've checked off everything that I can do first.
Yeah, man.
Before, so I don't forget.
Yeah, man, because even we who've done launches before will forget if you're not careful. Yeah, man, it's just there's so many rabbit holes you can go down. And like I just did a session of the $1 million membership funnel, my high ticket thing, my mastermind. And dude, that was the number one thing people asked. I actually taught this time. It was the first time I'd ever taught long-term nurture sequences in that mastermind, because I add to it as I sell it as I go, right? And the number one question from everybody in the room, there's like 31 people in the mastermind, and they're like, can we get the templates to these? I don't even care if it's a template. They're like, can we just read the emails you wrote?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, for sure we can do that. So like we're going back right now and we're trying to, we're creating templates from them, though. I'm going to go the extra mile. I'm not just going to I'll post the original emails, but I want to make sure it's like, well, this paragraph is for this. And this paragraph is for this. And that way they know, that way they can rewrite it in there.
It's so helpful. Like, I love templates. I don't even realize, and it's not that I don't want to think, and sometimes I don't. I am lazy. But even to spark an idea, like you saw something on my page and it sparked an idea, you're going to go in a completely different direction with it. But even just like to get you going, you know what I mean? Like sometimes we just need even a bunch of subject line templates, even just to get the mind going a little quicker. Cause you don't always, see it.
Like, did you have an Atari when you were a kid?
I didn't. I only had Nintendo and a Commodore 64.
So I had an Atari. Okay. So anyway, well, you know what Space Invaders is, right?
Oh yeah. All
right. So there's a documentary on Netflix right now. It's about video games, the history of video games. It's amazing too, by the way, just from a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
But so the guy who invented Space Invaders was really the game that changed everything. It was the game that made it $1 billion industry, and like merchandise and clothing and arcades were originally opened with like 100 Space Invaders boxes. That's it.
Wow.
Right. So, but it's funny because you think, oh, this archaic, 2-bit flat screen, old school black and white Space Invaders, right? Whatever.
Yep.
What's funny is when the guy's being interviewed, the guy who invented it, he said, I was inspired because I saw another game. It was called Breakout. And I said, how can I take that game and change it and make it more fun? Not copy it, not a clone,
right.
But take the concept of the thing you're shooting's above you, the thing you're shooting from's below you, but create, my own story, my own nuances and my own things like that. And dude, like without that iteration off of the framework, there was no Space Invaders. Right.
Yeah.
Or like take ClickFunnels for Russell Brunson. Like we had lead pages.
Yeah.
We had, Aweber. We had all these things that did all these things. Then all of a sudden ClickFunnels comes along and says, well, I'm going to take that idea in a different direction and make it better, man.
Strengthen. I love that story, and it's an inspiring story, creating something and making it better, making it different, making it stronger. And, we nothing is new under the sun, right? Like it's always like.
That's in the Bible, baby. That's an actual Bible verse.
There you go.
So, I mean, it's like God said it. It's all just repeating itself. That's all we're doing here. So let me go back in time, because we've been rambling now for at least 20 minutes and no one knows what in the world we're doing here. All right. But we're going to forget we're on a podcast today, because me and Chris literally talk about 5 times every single day. So this is going to go in 100 different directions. But we met, what year did we meet? Like what year did you first, I don't know. It's
got to be about, my daughter's 6, so it's got to be around 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
So 14, 15, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And so you heard my podcast, I think.
Yes, I heard your podcast on, I think I heard your episode on Pat Flynn's.
There we go.
I dove into you, and there's again, like, and what's interesting is like, I was into Pat Flynn, but you know, I connected more with you and your personality and you and Jocelyn and stuff in your story. So isn't that interesting how, and you were inspired by him, but I connected to you more and dove into your guys' brand, and then joined your membership. I joined it the day I was there. I was on tour in a tour van. And after we played the show, and I joined your webinar and I signed up.
It's for the original open of the community. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're an OG flip your lifer.
Yeah, I need some flip your life OG shirts.
We need to get some of those. Seriously, I need to get them that say "flip your life" and it has like in cursive it says "legacy."
Yeah,
like a legacy member or something like that. I don't know. So like it was crazy too because like because it's these weird situations that come up when you just start getting into online business, man. When you start realizing how small the world really is, you know.
Yeah.
So you come on the coaching, we start talking. And then I realize who you are, because you, my friend, as humble as you are a freaking rock star. Like, you know, I don't think I try to get you to embrace your rock starness a little bit more. But you are. I mean, your background is as a Christian recording artist, correct?
Yeah.
So give me the nutshell of that. How started.
You know, I signed a deal a long time ago, and I've been independent now, but we've toured 22 countries. You know, we sold hundreds of thousands of albums, and we have about almost 600,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and it just continuing to grow. I think we're actually going to hit 1 million. And I try to release a new song every, month and a half, 2 months. But I don't tour anymore. We did that. I've played over 1,000 shows, and it's been great. And we might tour again next year. It's funny how I planned to do no shows this year and didn't even know COVID was coming,
Right.
But music,
that's a God thing, man.
Music has been amazing, and online business has just amplified that. It's allowed me to get my music and my message and on my books and different things out to more people. And so I'm really thankful. But yeah, I try to keep it humble, but in some circles I'm definitely, famous and whatnot. And it's a real blessing to be able to impact people,
Yeah, man. And so I knew of you once I figured out that, oh, this is the guy who sings this song, you know what I'm saying, that you hear on K-Love or whatever. And it's fascinating. And I always, even though we're all three friends, I always, me, you, and Evan Burse, I always think of you and Evan Burse in the same scenario.
Yeah.
Because the dream, like Evan Burse is a guy who runs a website called thecartoonblock.com. Evan Burse was an animator at Marvel, which to me you would think would be the epitome, the dream job. It's like you get to work at, he draws superheroes and he works for Marvel. Like he literally was the guy who drew the Incredible Hulk. Okay. So this is like dream job, right? And then same thing with you. Like, your songs, I mean, I heard your songs years before I started my thing.
Crazy,
and
man.
Yeah, man, it's unbelievable. But like they impacted me like big time, and again, that it's the dream, right? You're a singer-songwriter, you get signed, you're on the radio, you're doing those things. So that's the first category I always put you two guys in. But then what was amazing is when we first talked from coaching, you both told me such a similar story of the dream job. Like you were like, hey, I love music, I love what I'm doing, I'm blessed, I'm thankful.
Yeah.
But I don't want to tour. I want to do something where I can make money, where I can still pursue my music.
Yeah.
But I don't need the label, and I don't want to tour, and I want to be home with my wife and my daughter. And Evan told me almost the exact same story. This is the dream. This is the pinnacle of the mountain. But man, I just want to pursue my art. I just want to serve other artists. And, I know that a lot of people would hate me for saying this, but I don't want to work here anymore.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about that. Like, what was the realization that came to that? And then online business becomes, of course, the avenue that sets you free.
Yeah. Well, it was just like, I would tear up when I would look at if I even look at it right now, I have all my touring schedule. We would always document every single show in this spreadsheet, and you can just scroll and scroll, right? And you look at, I think it was 2010 or 11 and even 12, when I'd see how many days I was gone, it crushes me. It breaks my heart to see I was away from my wife that much, And I remember even when we were saying, oh, I'm not going to tour as much. And then, we had the opportunity to do this tour in Japan, And then we went to China. And then after that, we went to BC. And,
Jeez.
you know, it sounded good and exciting on paper, and my wife's supportive, but that was a month and a half, I think I was gone for that. And that was rough, you know.
Mel traveled with you at first, but then of course you have a kid, that changes the whole thing. Like the
Well,
whole
even
dynamic,
before
right?
then, once the band started coming out, because it used to just be me and her and maybe one other person, like
Right.
a DJ or something like that, or a drummer. But when it was the whole band, it was a different thing and just a totally different dynamic. And she was like over it really
Yeah, man.
fast, you know?
Yeah.
And when we had our daughter, that's when I was just like, okay, you know, I don't want to be gone from her that often. I don't even want to be gone from my wife. And it's like we put in the work, and it's not like I don't like to perform live. I love it.
Right.
But now
Sure.
I can kind of cherry pick the shows. But I needed to figure out how to market and how to get my music out there and how to make an income online. And, you know, teaching, selling my music was the avenue. And again, I think it's the same struggle. And it's funny how maybe I'm humble with the famous stuff. Sometimes I also devalue my experience and what I know. And I should be even, you know, charging a lot more sometimes than I think I do, you know?
Yeah, for sure, man. It's great. It's crazy, man. And here's the close that loop. What made me relate to that story so much is because I was an insurance agent for my dad, and right out of college, right. I worked for my dad and my older brother, and I came to a realization that I wanted to do something else. I had an older guy, one of my friend's dads. He was like a kind of a mentor growing up, and then Jocelyn, of course, supported this. I was like, I just want to coach football. I have a deep desire to go back and open that chapter of my life back up because I got hurt playing football and I actually couldn't play anymore.
Oh, wow.
And I always felt like that chapter of my life got closed way too early. Right. So I wanted to pick the book back up, man. And so I went down and went to a school that was all about sports coaching and got into football, did an internship with a really good school, and went to a state championship and won a county freshman championship. And then I was lucky and fortunate enough that I was at the school where this highly recruited athlete was being recruited, and I got to network and meet all these. I dream 100 every football coach in America, but they came to me, right? And I found out that I had a connection at West Virginia University, and that got me in the door. And the second year I was ever a football coach, I was a graduate assistant at a Division I school, never having played in college.
That's crazy, man.
So I had this just meteor rise in whatever, and then. About a year and a half in, I went to Eastern Kentucky University, got a position there. A buddy of mine who worked with me at West Virginia, he was the director of football operations. And at this point, I didn't care. I just wanted to be involved in football. I could coach, I could athletic director or whatever. But he called me and he said, I want you to know that I can't remember his name. He went to Colorado, but he was the head coach at Bowling Green University in Ohio, which is a D1 school.
Yeah.
And he said, I know you got dreams of coaching, admin, all this. He goes, but I'm telling you right now, you're 25 years old, and I just called this guy. He's a good friend of mine, and you don't even have to interview for the job. You and Jocelyn just need to get your stuff and go to Bowling Green, and you've got a $60,000 a year job as the director of football operations. And this guy's going to end up going somewhere bigger, and you'll go with him. And I told him, you're the best kid I've ever been around in the program, and if you want the job, it's yours. Just say when and show up for the staff meeting in 2 weeks.
Jeez.
But here's the but. Me and Jocelyn had a talk recently, and it was the same thing, man. Just ships in the night, bro. Like she was in corporate selling commercial dishwashers.
Right, I remember that.
And like I was on the road, and we were always in meetings and recruiting, and we saw what it was going to take. You know what I'm saying? To even keep going down the dream, even though I was on the path, man, like the dream was happening.
Wild. That's wild.
And we had already decided. I told him, I said, man, I'm going to go into high school coaching. I want to go home at night. I want to see my kids, you know? And I always, this is what really sealed it for me.
Wow.
When I went from West Virginia to Eastern Kentucky, there was a guy named Bill Stewart, who was the associate head coach and quarterbacks coach. He ended up being the head coach at West Virginia. Listen to what he said to me. Now, he always talked like this. Hey, Shane, how you doing, pal? Whoa, what's going on? He was that kind of guy.
Yeah.
So he goes, hey, Shane, he catches me in the hall and he goes, hey, come in here, son. I know you're going to Eastern Kentucky. I'm so proud of you. And I want you to come in here. I want you to sit down with me and hang out. I go sit down. He shuts the door. He sits down, dead serious, voice lowers, looks me right in the freaking eye. And he goes, hey, Shane, you have a great opportunity. I know if you want to, you'll go as far as you want. But I want to tell you something. My son is 11 years old. I've been on the road about 9 years of his life. Good luck at Eastern Kentucky. That's all he said. Oh. And he planted the seed. And when I had that opportunity, I remembered that moment, man. And I could, he was trying to warn me, like, hey, the reward is great, but you are definitely going to sacrifice something.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And I relate to you and Evan so much, and that's why I think why we're such good friends is because we got that same kind of story.
Dude, that's crazy because like with the band thing, I had Drake's lawyer. Okay, I had dinner with him in France at this conference called Midem, and we went out for dinner. And this is Drake's freaking lawyer. I don't know if he still is, but like I don't know why it would change. But anyways, we hit it off. Connected. He wanted to help me, and I was living in California this time. He was in Hollywood. And anyways, we went out for dinner or lunch in Hollywood with him and another high-end lawyer, and we were talking and stuff like that. And I ended up paying. And I'll never forget them saying, like, that never happens. Artists never pay. You know what I mean? And I've always, wanted to give. You know what I mean? Dream 100.
For sure, man.
You want to, like, I really appreciated that. And so, anyways, he had started emailing massive managers on my behalf to try and get me management. Like we're talking like Linkin Park, Metallica, like massive rock managers. And I remember like we weren't getting anywhere yet, but like I remember having the conversation with Mel and like what they would want me to do if I did push that harder and allowed that to fruition. And sometimes I do wonder if it was self-sabotage or just knew, because this was now 2013, 14. This is when I think Mel was pregnant, just about to have a daughter. And, I've already been touring 10 plus years all over the world. Right. And it's like, okay, am I going to hit this hard? And honestly, I have that choice right now, even at 41, like I could work with somebody and I could just go guns blazing again, but it's the cost versus benefit and like the dream and what you really want. And, obviously I encourage anyone watching this, absolutely go after your dream, but just know with anything, there's a sacrifice, you know what I mean? And you just gotta know what you want and make sure it adds up with all your values, right?
Yeah.
Because like, I think it was Dave Ramsey says, you don't want to climb up that ladder and realize it's leaning against the wrong building. You don't want to sacrifice your integrity. Definitely don't want to sacrifice your marriage or your kids. Like, because at the end of the day, man, like we didn't make a covenant with football or with music. We made a covenant before God with our wives, right?
Amen. That's right, dude. That's right. And I think there's one thing that I've found as the kids got older, and I think this is going to circle back to your book so perfectly, because like one thing I've noticed too, like embracing the season is not necessarily saying no.
Right.
Like we were just embracing the season of marriage, of kids, of whatever. I mean, I have learned that any time I want to turn on the gas, I can do it. Right. Yeah. It was the same thing when we started Flipped Lifestyle. We could have went down the course route, right? Yeah. We could have went down the high ticket coaching route.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the membership model is what gave us freedom. It's what gave us security and stability. And it's what gave us that confidence to do these other things. And like next week, I'm going to Denver. The membership's going to be fine. I'm just going to leave and the team's going to roll and I come back and we'll get our payments and we'll start over. Nothing's going to happen. But I couldn't, if I was way down the high ticket coaching route, I couldn't do that. I would have appointments.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Make a lot of money, and I could make a lot of money if I wanted to do high ticket. And a lot of my buddies want me to do it, and I have the path. It's all there, but like I still want to make music, and I still want to do other things, and I don't want to, figure out the phone sales and then hire somebody else to do it. Like maybe I will down the road. I'm not saying I won't, but like again, like there's a sacrifice. You know what I mean? I'm really good at Facebook ads and kind of that. I think part of maybe the reason I like that so much is because it does give me that time freedom, and it sells the courses, the books, everything like that. And, and I can just kind of toggle stuff and then I do my
it fits.
Calls. Yeah.
It fits with your lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And it's built that way because you've built it that way, right?
Yeah.
And people get so caught up with like, I always find it amazing how many experts want to argue with me about the membership model. And I'm like, look, I'll debate what's better. Right. I'll do that. That's a fun conversation in and of itself, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, does it fit what you want and your lifestyle? And you know, and all that stuff is still out there though, because we both know like our kids are eventually going to be old enough on their own. And you know, the guy we both mutually respect, Michael Hyatt, he didn't start michaelhyatt.com till he was in his 50s.
Jeez.
So it's not, and look what he's accomplished in the last 7 or 8 years. I mean,
that's inspiring. I watched him. He was one of I got into him actually before you guys, and it was him that got me into Pat Flynn, because I found him when I was trying to write my first book, and it was amazing to watch him. I actually regret not going to his very first conference platform.
Oh yeah, because he would have been super accessible then, like because it would have been new and he was just getting going.
Pat was getting off the ground then, and that Amy Porterfield was getting off. Like this is when they were all just starting, and I think back sometimes I'm like, wow, like not even just gone, like I probably, just the networking, you know what I mean? And I've messaged Michael Hyatt on Insta, and he's an inspiring dude. They all are,
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool. So like, so I'm gonna circle back. All right, so your first book is called Fighter.
Yeah.
Right. And it's another thing I love about you, man, is like you're so multifaceted. Like, you're a musician, but man, the content you create is like epically inspiring. And it's for everybody. It's for everybody. Yeah. I know the new book, Red to Black, which we'll talk about in a minute, is going to be super tactically impactful. But like, just tell me a little bit about Fighter and everybody about what Fighter's about too.
Yeah, it was called Fighter: 5 Keys to Conquering Fear and Reaching Your Dreams. And this was in 2012, and I was just devouring books on the road, listening to audios, going to thrift shops, buying books in different cities. And, that's where I got Millionaire Messenger. That's where from Brendan Burchard, I got Think and Grow Rich in New Zealand at some crazy thrift shop, and just devouring books. And so I got a lot of information in this brain and just wanted to give back. Right. And put it down on paper. And, we ended up hiring an editor and a ghostwriter to help, make it great. And my wife always goes crazy with the art and stuff like that, so that they're like pieces, you know what I mean? And so, it's like, and we want them to be inspirational as well too. And obviously I've got my faith, I'm a Christian, but we also make sure we're never polarizing, always sharing the stories and overcoming. And so, I never realized that, I'm going to be writing a lot more books. And once we've done one, and I had no idea how to launch that thing at all. And that's kind of how I went down the rabbit hole of Michael Hyatt, Brendan Burchard Experts Academy, and now we're here with our new one. And what's so cool is, and I encourage people to conquer your fears, is because you get better, you learn. Like I was scared out of my mind when you told me to do my first membership, but I freaking did it, and it wasn't so bad, and I started at $15 per member, and now it's 97, you know what I mean? And eventually we're going to go high ticket where you can't even get in until you're, maybe 5,000 or something like that to be a part of whatever. I don't know where it's going to go, but the point is like I did it, and now I have a different perspective, and I'm not afraid,
Yeah, man.
Even launching a second book, I'm afraid because we're pressing even more, but at least now I have a system. I've got an email list. I got a plan. I got a Dream 100, right. And so we just trudge forward, feel the fear and do it anyways,
Well, and I think that's a perfect bridge, because so Fighter is it like you got to get over a lot of fears to be an entrepreneur, to be successful at anything, right? And the biggest fear is money. The biggest fear is stability, security. I think that's what holds most people back from starting a business even, and taking that chance, and not just not understanding what it takes to get a website going, start a membership, do the billing, or like you said, like writing a book, getting it printed, launching it. But I look back at our unfair advantages a lot to try to study how we got to where we were.
Right.
And I know that one of the biggest unfair advantages that we had was that Jocelyn and I had been through the get out of debt mode in our life. Right. We didn't have credit card debts. We had paid off cars that we were driving till the wheels fall off. So even though we weren't making a lot of money as school teachers back in 2012, and we had a paycheck that we got paid on Friday and it ran out on Thursday.
Yeah.
We didn't have debt. We didn't have a lot of shackles kind of holding us down. So when I had the yard sale to sell something to get enough money to buy autoresponder madness to learn how to email market or whatever, I didn't feel like I was stealing from my kid's table or I was stealing from our electric bill.
Yeah.
And not being in debt is probably the bridge that most of us need to go to the next level, whether it's starting or growing. I bet there's a lot of people right now that would love to invest in Facebook ads, but they've got $50,000 in debt or something crazy, right? Yeah. So tell me now about Red to Black. Yeah. And it's not just about debt. There's a lot of money stuff in it. I've read it and all that. We can talk about what's in it. But tell me where this book came from and why you think it's so important for everybody to read it.
Yeah, so it's From Red to Black, a short journey from debt to liberty. And so there's the paying off the debt, cutting your expenses, having a budget, increasing your income. We have two challenges there. One, to cut your expenses by $500 a month, super easy. Increasing your income by $500 a month. But one of my favorite chapters in there, and I share some of Shane's stories in there, which is really cool, is the Swiss dollar chapter, which is the sales while I sleep soundly. And just the idea of creating these passive income assets have given us freedom, which is the time freedom and earning money while you're not there. And I talk about the habits of the poor versus the rich. And one of the biggest habits of the rich that people need to implement is stop trading your time for dollars. You got to sever the relationship between you earning money with your time and invest your time to create something like a product, a service, a coaching package, something that's making money without you being there. Me and you are making money right now, Shane.
Oh, 100%. Made sales during this call. Guarantee it.
And so whether it's for me, whether it's my real estate, my music, my online business, my recurring revenue, my ebooks on Amazon, Warren Buffett says, every, I don't know if it's millionaire, billionaire has multiple streams of income. And not only for the freedom, but for the safety when we go through crazy COVID.
Oh, you mean like a global pandemic hits the markets? What about that?
Aren't we thankful? One of my buddies I was talking to, he's like, dude, did you have were you looking at a crystal ball or something like that to know that, things were going to go this way? And I was like, no, I'm just, trying to be wise, pray, get wisdom. But so that's what I could really outline here is not just getting out of debt, which is super important because you don't want that pressure. And I share how I quit my job to pursue this dream because I wanted it so badly. And I went into debt and that stressed me out. And I love how your story, how you guys kind of side hustled it a little bit more. And I share that story in here, which is the idea of don't quit so soon, hustle on the side, get that income up, replace that income first.
Yeah.
So then you can jump, go through a few sacrifices, downsize your car or downsize your house like you guys did and go without so you can invest in this business and have, this freedom because it's a beautiful thing to be able to spend time with your kids and, literally, flip your life.
Yeah, man.
As you say, my brother.
Yeah. And I even thought about this book is really timely because, the people who I've seen struggle this year, not just from their job being shut down. I mean, one, I may fail and I may go broke, but it'll be on my terms. And that I will never trade that. I will never trade that again. I don't care if the internet turns off. I'll go wash people's cars. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when this all started, all the madness back in March of 2020, look down, no commercial debt, nothing going on, plenty of members. So the income was up. And when you get to that step where at least you're not spending more than you make, that's the first step. I love that. That's so easy. Cut your expenses $500 first. Everybody can do that today. Oh. Just say no to some things and then figure out a way to make $500, 10 people times $49 a month. That's a membership.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're done. And then you've got $1,000 swing. You've got money coming in every month. So now you can think about that investment, like what you mentioned earlier, look how simple it is. It's simple, not easy. I don't want anybody to think that because if you're listening to this and you're in debt, I know you're stressed out. I know it's tough. I get it. I've been there. Right. Mm-hmm. But it is simple.
Right.
Cut your expenses by $500. And then when you've got that extra margin, you can go and invest it in something like a Facebook ad that will take people to your membership, which will get a new member who will pay you every month. And then you go do it again and again and again. And then you maybe then it's like, hey, now I'm making, I make $4,000 a month at my full-time job.
Yeah.
Can I get 100 people to pay me $40 a month? Well, that would replace my income.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there's taxes and stuff like that. I'm going to have to reduce my lifestyle a little bit.
But now you can write off stuff if you're working from home.
Yeah. Right. And all these doors open for you magically just from going from red to black, just getting out of debt and creating some kind of income. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Starting that side business opens up so many doors. Like, and I just loved even just the tax write-offs. Like all of a sudden your phone becomes a write-off, your car, your mortgage or your rent, your internet. You know what I mean? Like all these things all of a sudden are not like they're expensive, but they're also write-offs.
Well, it's the government paying you to do things.
Yeah.
They're telling you, we won't tax you if you'll go buy this thing.
And you still get to enjoy it, and obviously seek an accountant, but like it's a beautiful thing, man, and a lifestyle. And, my story wasn't even memberships first, which I know this is Membership Masters. It was just even an online course. And I'm only sharing this because I know, like you said, people don't have a lot of money. Like my wife, how she started, because I share a lot of her stories in here, is she started with Skillshare. She made a course, she put it up there, and it was just teaching people how to sell their art on Etsy. And it started doing like over 1,000, 2,000 a month.
Crazy.
Like, and I'm not saying anyone else is going to do that, but I'm saying, why can't it happen? She's never taught a course before. Her first one, just boom. You know what I'm saying? I didn't do so well on Skillshare, but I was using Udemy. But the reason I like those is because they're just a good place to start because you don't have to spend any money. You just obviously gotta have a mic, camera, you gotta shoot the content, but you don't have to run any ads, and you can kind of tap into their ecosystem. But like I say in the book, when you build a business in someone's ecosystem, they make the rules. So that's why you want to get, Dude,
I've even thought like people have been I think a lot about, I think a lot about our people and what their situation is. And I've been broke and I've been paycheck to paycheck. And I think about like, if I was even starting now, well, knowing what I know now about print stuff, like my newsletter, you can literally print money. I mean, you literally can go to, your printer, and if you have great content, people do love mail. And you can start a print newsletter, right? You can start a Facebook page and a YouTube channel and literally build a business off of that with a PayPal button, writing paper newsletters. But I even thought, man, back in I think people would even love getting a flash drive with courses on it. Like if you can't afford hosting or something, dude, just sell it for $200 and then go buy a flash drive and send them a flash drive and an adapter if they got a Mac, whatever. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I have it here, but that's what we do with my music. I got my.
You still sell CDs?
Well, and my skateboard USB.
And your USB thing.
I have 14 albums on them, and they sell like hotcakes.
Exactly, man.
Okay?
There's no excuse.
My buddy taught on money, and he made a little USB of a little piggy bank. You know what I mean? And so whatever. So
I need to do this.
There's so much different things that you can create.
Jocelyn's gonna get mad. Jocelyn's gonna Voxer you later and be like, "Why did Shane just order 500 flash drives?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey, you know what? It forces you to move them, right?
How many revenue streams do you think you have?
Probably maybe 7.
Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah, it's a real blessing, and it's cool because it's like even my our bookkeeper, it's like you have a lot of different revenue streams, and I realize and that's what I talk about in the book is that a job stands for just over broke. You only got one income stream, and they pay you just enough so that you don't leave, but not enough to really get ahead. But when you start creating one asset and one income stream and another income stream, it starts to, you're buying your time back. Yeah. And now honestly, it's at the point where it's just like, well, what do I want to create and do? Because it's not always about the money, but just, the impact. And I know that is.
Well, I know that book. I mean, we all know that books aren't necessarily profitable on the front end, right? And you've put so much time into it, so much time in the launch. But that's what's so valuable, and where it goes. What I read when I read the book, it was it goes beyond the normal. We're going to get you out of debt. Here's a plan to get you out of debt. But here's the problem: if you just get out of debt, you're just staying where you are. If you only have one source of revenue, even your membership, and memberships are weird because I kind of view every member as a source of revenue a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I got members in every U.S. state. Every single U.S. state is represented in the Flip Your Life community. So when COVID hits, New York is getting bashed, but Iowa's not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I kind of view it in that kind of bucket, but it's not really like I can't just have a membership. I also need another product. Like I have another company for U.S. history teachers. We have a coaching program. We have the newsletters, the paper stuff. We've started branching. We have real estate,
line, right? It's like your product line, right? Like
that's exactly right, man. And if you don't spread that out, like that's where I think people get confused with the red to black. Get out of debt is the immediate short-term goal.
Yeah.
But the long-term goal is freedom, and prosperity,
liberty, financial
liberty, man.
You know, and not just in your money, but in your time, you know, because like we all know the real rich dude that doesn't spend any time with his kids, you know, and being able to see my daughter in the morning, pick her up after school. And, you know, sometimes I do work at odd hours, longer hours sometimes, but, you know, I would definitely say the time freedom to be there, to go on the school trips if we want to, and all that stuff. It's just like, it's incredible. And it really, the time idea, my favorite chapter is Swiss dollars, just because the idea of, you know, sales while I skateboard, sales while I shred slopes, sales while I'm, you know, podcasting with Shane, you know what I mean?
That's right, man. Yeah, man.
And
I love it, dude.
And it's just getting that concept, I think, around people's heads is a real, we're used to it, but I think for some people it's just like still believing that they can do it, and they can, you know.
Well, even what I've found with membership owners, they'll get to, I got this guy I was talking to just the other day, and he has, you know, he's really growing. He's up to like 30, 40 members. It's really starting to be significant income for his family.
Yes. And
you know, and he's still like in this mode of, I got to go to work. Right. And I'm not saying you don't have to work hard. It's always been a part of our message is we value our time so much. Like I'm not willing to work more than 25 hours a week. Right.
Yeah.
But there are times where you're like, whoa, I got to go 70 because there's a launch coming or something.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm in that right now, but we're also planning our vacation after.
Yeah, exactly. And like I think what I've learned over time is it's not about how much time you spend on what you want to do. It's the power to spend it when you want to. Yeah. Me and Jocelyn just had this conversation the other day. We were getting a little stressed out about some stuff. And I looked down and I was writing in my journal, and I put, you have control of every second you're awake, and you have control of where you sleep every second at night. Mm-hmm. You're in control. Like I realized in that moment, and maybe it was a God thing, that like, if I choose to spend 8 hours on a project, I still take my kid to school. Like this morning is fall break before me and you got here and I came to my office. I got up and played Fortnite with Isaac for an hour. I'm in control of that. And like as you succeed in your membership or your online business, you got to realize you don't need to be stressed. If you did it to yourself now. You can't blame your boss and your coworker, and you write the calendar once you're working for yourself, y'all. And you got to take control of that and ownership.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Awesome. So when's the book coming out?
It comes out in about 2 weeks. We ordered 10,000 copies of these to start. It's hardcover, full color, which I'm like super stoked. My wife did a whole bunch of like art and different stuff inside of it. So it's like an art piece, you know? It takes about 30 days to get. So as we're recording this right now, it'll probably start shipping early November. So before
this will probably come out after that. I'll rig it to where it comes out. So when you're listening to this, it's out. It's going to be
already out. Yeah.
Where can people learn more about the book, Chris?
Just go to manafest.com or manafest.com/from red to black. And the book's free. You just got to cover shipping and handling. That's the dope thing, man. Just cover shipping and handling. And so that's $10 in the US. It's $9.95. I think it's $20 if you're outside of the US. But yeah, we're just giving it away because we believe in this message so much. We'll hit you with some upsells for the audiobook and ebooks I narrated as well. And then there's, another thing to me and my wife put together a VIP class. And again, what you said, workbook. And what we did was, instead of just making a digital workbook, it's like a printed. So when they get the book, and if they take the upsell for the course with me and my wife, then the book or the workbook gets mailed with that. And again, trying to stand out, like you're saying, and people love to get stuff in the mail, and I get frustrated living in Canada sometimes because the free plus shipping aren't so free. Like the shipping is a lot more. So I'm like, every time I go to the US, I'm like, dude, I'm sending some books to your house. Or I sent a book to your house the other day just to go through someone's funnel. And I sent you the book, and I got on the email list so I could see what the emails were.
That's amazing. I've got that book right here too.
Yeah,
Right here it is, baby. If you're watching this on YouTube, Confessions of a Persuasion Hitman. Ian Stanley, we're giving you a shout out here.
Yeah, you gotta persuade people to buy, man. Get the book. It'll change your life.
And get Red to Black, because that's the book, man. But listen, dude, I love you, man. I love you so much, and man, I love this book. And I know it's going to change people's lives. You changed my life, you changed a bunch of people's lives, and it's awesome stuff, man.
Appreciate you, dude. Well, hey, you endorsed it. You're on the back, and there's
full-throated endorsement, baby. Hey, y'all, that's all the time that we have for today's Membership Masters podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If we can help you chase your online dream, we would love to do that over in the Flip Your Life community. That's where we help real people find and use their God-given talents to start, build, and grow an online business of their own. All you need is 100 people to pay you $50 a month to make $60,000 a year. Or if you want to dream big, all you need is 1,000 people to pay you $85, and you're going to make $1 million. But all of it starts with one simple step, and that's joining the Flip Your Life community. We have all the training, coaching, leadership, and community that you need to take your online business to the next level. All new members of the Flip Your Life community can join for 30 days for free. Just go to flippedlifestyle.com/free. That's FLIPPED lifestyle.com/free, and start your 30-day trial today. That's all the time we have for this week's show. We'll see you next time.